Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. UFC Noche, Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko 2 just ended, and this is going to be my full card post-fight. I'm going to go through every single fight on the card and give you my reaction and breakdown to the results. Starting off with the first fight of the night, Josefine Knutsson versus Marnic, Mann. Man, this was an ugly fight. A very ugly fight. I just want to scream, ew, and then move on. But basically, Knutsson just dominated her. Hurt her badly in the second round with body shots and shots upstairs. But really didn't show killer instinct, didn't show real finishing ability. And she just won clear as day, outstruck her, outgrappled her. Marnic, man, has absolutely no business being in the UFC. She took the fight on short notice. I'm not even sure Knutsson belongs in the UFC at this point. But she basically dominated her 30-27 and wins via decision. Moving up on the card, Charlie Campbell versus Alex Reyes. Charlie Campbell gets a first round TKO. I guess the chin runs in the Reyes' family. Hadn't fought for 6 years. Just got clipped up badly. Early, he looked all right. He was moving all right. He was throwing all right. Threw a kick, got caught. Charlie Campbell, as he catches the kick, starts throwing good shots. Kind of reminded me of, if you've been a longtime fan, Benson Henderson versus Frankie Edgar. I can't remember which one of those fights it was, the first or second, but Benson Henderson catches the kick, starts landing some shots as he's holding the kick. Same thing with Charlie Campbell here. Started landing some good shots, was hurting him, let go of the kick, just started busting him up on the feet, was catching him with 1-2s, was pumping the jab, snapping his head back, but he was being cautious. He was picking his shots. He started ripping to the body. He was cutting off the cage well. Because on Dana White's Contender Series, he hurt somebody, he rushed in and got finished. His fight IQ seems to be improved. His shot selection seems to be improved. And he went out there and absolutely starched Alex Reyes. Finished him with a nasty right hand. Just melted him down onto all fours. Ref jumps in. I thought it was a perfect stoppage. Charlie Campbell looked really, really good in this fight. Now, you have to take that with a grain of salt because Alex Reyes has been out for a long time. Hasn't won a fight. Hasn't fought in like 6 years. Hasn't won a fight in 6 years. But Reyes looked okay early. He didn't look terrible. He didn't look like he didn't belong in there. He looked fast. You know, landed a couple shots himself, but the second that kick got caught, the second he started eating some counter shots, it just seemed like he was done from there. Charlie Campbell was just too accurate with his shots and gets the first round TKO. Moving up on the card, we have Tracy Cortez versus Jasmine Jasudavicius. Tracy Cortez gets the decision win. Honestly, I could have saw this fight going either way. I personally scored it for Tracy Cortez. I thought the second round could have went to Jasmine Jasudavicius, but honestly, people were complaining about 30-27 for Tracy Cortez. I didn't hate that scorecard, to be honest. The first round, clearly Tracy Cortez won. Jasmine Jasudavicius looks like, it looked like she went to the Juliana Miller School of Striking, Juliana Pena's School of Striking. Just looked horrible with the stand-up, was just getting outstruck and just Tracy Cortez landing bigger shots. Second round, Cortez was winning early, but then got taken down multiple times, but there wasn't a whole lot of damage. Even though there was a decent amount of control time, 2.5 minutes of control time, not a whole lot of damage done from Jasmine Jasudavicius. And then the third round, both of them looking sloppy, both of them throwing a lot of shots. I think Jasudavicius landed a couple head kicks. So I thought maybe the third round could have went to Jasmine Jasudavicius. So I could have honestly seen a world where 2 and 3 both went to Jasmine, but I scored all 3 rounds for Tracy Cortez. Just outstriking her, landing the bigger shots. The commentary was so biased in this fight towards Tracy Cortez. Honestly, if I'm being completely honest, I thought they both looked horrible in this fight. And they were acting like Tracy Cortez looked like a world beater and a future champion. She looked okay. She looked improved. She looked decent for being out for so long. But overall, I don't think either one of them put on a spectacular performance, but Tracy Cortez gets it done via decision. Moving up on the card, we have Edgar Chairez versus Daniel Lacerda. I think I'm going to be in the unpopular opinion here. This was a no contest due to a premature stoppage by Chris Tione. Okay? Basically what happened in this fight, Chairez was winning on the feet. Lacerda took him down, controlled him for a little bit. Chairez gets back to his feet. Immediately another takedown attempt from Lacerda. Jumps right into an anaconda choke. Chairez is kind of choking him. Looks like it's tight. He's readjusting the grip. Looks like it's super tight. Referee checks Lacerda's arm. It's still there. As soon as he lets it go after it's there, he kind of responds. It goes limp. The ref stops it. Lacerda jumps up and basically says, no, I was fine, blah, blah, blah. Why'd you stop it? They review it. They say because he wasn't out, it's now a no contest. Chairez should have got this win here. I 100% believe that Chairez should have got this win. And Dominic Cruz is going on a diatribe about how, oh, no, he was clearly there, and oh, this referee better not get nervous, and this and that, and this and that. Of course, could the referee, when he saw the arm go limp, could he have checked it again? Yes, he could have. He should have. But I think this was a perfectly fine stoppage. And not only do I think it was a perfectly fine stoppage, and Dominic Cruz is an idiot on commentary to begin with, but I actually think Lacerda went out. People think for some reason, I don't understand it, and I even seen a lot of fighters saying this on Twitter and whatnot. I think I've seen Bilal Muhammad saying it. People think every time someone is choked out, they have to be out for 20 seconds and, you know, they get dropped to the ground like Lyoto Machida, like versus John Jones when John Jones got the guillotine on him. That's not always the case. You can be choked out, and if it's stopped at the right time, you can wake right back up. And I think Lacerda actually went out. His arm went completely limp. There's no reason, like, Dom Cruz on the commentary was acting like, oh, well, he was trying to relax. So you're telling me you're deep in a choke. It looked very deep to me. And instead of trying to get your hand in there, create a little bit of half-inch of space, an inch of space, instead of doing that, you're just going to, oh, I'm just going to throw my hand down, limp at the cage. I'm not going to fight the grip. I'm not going to do anything. I think Lacerda went out, and I think Chairez was holding him up. And when the ref stopped it, he held him up just enough. And the ref stopped it, and it was an absolute perfect stoppage. I'll go that far. It was so perfect that you had Lacerda just barely go out. And then the second he stopped it, boom, went right back, came right back to, started complaining about it. And one thing I will point to, not only did you see the limp arm, look at the eyes of Lacerda when he's finally released from the choke and then he starts protesting. Look at the eyes of Lacerda. Now, I know you can make excuses and saying, oh, well, his head was getting squeezed, blah, blah. He literally looked like someone who just woke up. He literally looked like someone who just woke up. We've seen fighters get KO'd before. They wake up and they start complaining when they were clearly out cold, even though they get flash KO'd and they wake right back up. I'm telling you, I believe Lacerda went out. I thought it was a perfect stoppage by Chris Taglioni. I think Dominic Cruz is an idiot. And I think Edgar Chairez should have got the win here. I think he should have gotten the win. I think he should have won first round submission. It's unfortunate. And you have the entire MMA community, or a lot of the MMA community. You'll have to let me know your thoughts down in the comments. You have Dom Cruz already shifting the narrative and acting like, oh, thank you to the referees. They made the right call for a change. They didn't make the right call here. It was terrible to overturn this. It shouldn't have happened, and it should have been Chairez's first round submission. The arm clearly went limp. He was out cold. You don't do that naturally. The arm doesn't fall like that naturally. He went out for a second. He was done. Chairez should have gotten the win. Moving up on the card, Roman Kopylov versus Josh Fremd. Roman Kopylov just absolutely wrecked him badly, beating him up early, landing good combinations, landing good body kicks over and over and over again in the first round, landing good leg kicks as well. Fremd started shooting in on some takedowns early, was stuffed pretty easily. Kopylov just landing combinations throughout the first round, and towards the end of the first round landed a spinning back fist that busted Josh Fremd up. Second round, more of the same. Kopylov just landing combinations, beating him up, landing some head kicks that kind of got through the guard, landed with the foot. Fremd was just bleeding badly. And then there's a nut shot, and I thought, oh, Fremd is looking like he's on the way out, and now he's getting this break here, and it was Fremd that landed the nut shot on Kopylov, who was taking the break. And Kopylov luckily didn't take a long time with the break, came right back, looked like he was starting to slow down a bit, and then boom, and towards the end of the round, lands a nasty body kick, and then lands, I think it was a left hand to the body. Yeah, it was a left hand to the body, just drops Fremd badly, finishes him off. Doesn't even follow up. The ref jumps in. He starts to kind of attempt some ground and pound. Ref jumps in right away. The way he melted from that body shot, he was done for. Roman Kopylov, amazing performance. Excellent middleweight prospect. Really looking forward to see where he goes from in the future, where he goes to in the future. Josh Fremd, again, not the best, win in general, but you have to take into account Roman Kopylov took this on short notice, but also Josh Fremd took this on short notice as well. This fight was originally Chris Curtis versus Anthony Hernandez, and then Curtis fell out and Kopylov stepped in, and then you had basically everyone fall out, and just they had a replacement opponent for both guys. And either way, solid win for Kopylov. The body kicks are nasty. Those body kicks from southpaw are unbelievable. The hands looked fast. He looked crisp. I do worry about his cardio a little bit, but he did take it on short notice, so I'm not going to knock him too much for that. Moving up on the card, we have Lupita Godinez versus Elise Reed. Lupita Godinez wins via rear naked choke in the second round. Dominated Elise Reed from start to finish. Elise Reed, I mean, she's not that good of a fighter. Probably doesn't belong in the UFC. Got dropped in the first round with a left hand. She got taken down early, gotten back up, got dropped with a left hand. Almost gets armbarred after that. I don't know how she didn't tap. Her arm looked like it was literally looking like Jack Jenkins from last week. It was bending the wrong way. She somehow survives. Comes out in the second round, has a massive hematoma on her head. I think Reed got a hip toss, but then got reversed. Lupita on top, doing a little bit of damage, but eventually lets her up. Then gets another takedown, gets a single leg. Controlled her a bit there. Controlled her, did a little bit of damage there. She got back up. She let her back up then. And then she just starts, Lupita Godinez just starts charging forward, just smacking her with combinations, just beating her up. And I actually thought it was low fight IQ because she was smashing her badly. Then she picked her up, slammed her on the ground, Daniel Cormier style, like he used to do, pick some guys up, like Gustafsson, the Gustafsson fight. Picked her up, slammed her down, started beating her up on the ground a little bit there. Elise Reed actually got up again. She gets tripped down again. Basically, Godinez ends up in full mount at that point. Just starts pounding her out and eventually finds the rear naked choke. Lupita Godinez looked really, really good in this fight. I think she looks like a future contender, but you have to take into account the level of opposition she's facing here in Elise Reed, who's not very good at all. She's basically hit or miss. She's bottom of the barrel UFC. But overall, I mean, Lupita Godinez, the wrestling looked good. The cardio looked good. The killer instinct looked good. The overall just power looked good for the division, especially as well. And she went out there and got a finish in the second round. So you can't really knock her. And on top of that, it's very rare in those divisions, those lower weight class women divisions, or really any of the women's divisions. It's rare you see power like that. And she absolutely starched out Elise Reed and finishes her in the second round. Moving up on the card, the first fight on the main card, we have Kyle Nelson versus Fernando Padilla. Kyle Nelson wins unanimous decision, and I really don't think Kyle Nelson should have won this fight. I thought it was kind of close, but not close enough where Kyle Nelson should be winning. I had a 30-27 for Padilla, to be quite honest. The first round, Padilla was just kind of walking him down, landing some jabs, landing some body work. Nelson was countering well with the left hand, and landed some calf kicks as well, but I don't think that Nelson won the first round. I thought the first round was clear for Padilla. Second round, Nelson was landing some good hard shots early, but second round, I thought the second round was the closest round of the three. But I scored the second round for Padilla as well. I thought he landed the harder shots, landed a couple good uppercuts as well. Third round, close round as well. So if you're going to give it to Nelson 2 and 3, I don't think it's the worst. But I thought the third round was for Padilla as well. And the third round was very uneventful. It was very, very uneventful. Not a lot of hard shots landed. Padilla looked kind of off in this fight. Nelson was just kind of slow and just kind of landing some leg kicks, landing some decent counters. Padilla was landing some uppercuts and some jabs throughout the fight. Padilla was just hitting at the guard a lot. Really just hitting at the guard a lot. Didn't have the killer instinct we saw in his last fight. I don't think this was like the worst robbery ever, but I had a Padilla 30-27. You could give the second and third round to Kyle Nelson, and I think Kyle Nelson's a decent fighter, but I really don't think he should have got this win. And we had a couple controversial decisions tonight, but overall, I think Fernando Padilla should have got this win here. I thought he outstruck Kyle Nelson. I thought he just overall landed the better shots, did more damage. Kyle Nelson was all busted up. And he absorbed that damage throughout the fight. So I think Padilla should have got the nod, but unfortunately Kyle Nelson gets the win here. And I think one judge might have even had it 30-27. I can't remember the judges' scorecards for that. But moving up on the card, we have Daniel Zellhuber versus Christos Giagos. This was a great fight and a great performance by Daniel Zellhuber. He gets it done via second round anaconda choke. It wasn't looking good for him early. Giagos clipped him badly early, was swarming him. Zellhuber really wasn't landing a lot of good shots at all. He was kind of having trouble finding his range. Giagos was shooting. I keep wanting to call him Giagos because that's how it looks like you pronounce his name. But Giagos was shooting takedowns. Zellhuber's takedown defense looked really, really good. He was landing. Giagos was landing some good low kicks as well. I had the first round for Giagos. Zellhuber really didn't do much in the first round. Second round, Zellhuber started landing well, landing good jabs. Eventually caught him with a 1-2. I think it was a left hand that hurt him badly. I think it was a right hand. It was a left, then a right hand that hurt him badly. And then you have I almost said Kyle Nelson there. You have Christos Giagos kind of shoot in. Boom. Immediately anaconda choke from Daniel Zellhuber. And a solid win. I mean, he locked it up quick. He locked it up so quick. And Zellhuber's kind of one of these young guys that people have been hyping up a bit. And I thought maybe Giagos could be a guy that could kind of expose his takedown defense a little bit. But he shot a couple takedowns. Zellhuber was able to defend him. He was getting outstruck, and Giagos was kind of rushing in and landing some big shots, but he absorbed the adversity in the first round, and then he finds the finish in the second round. So I think a really solid win for Daniel Zellhuber. I think he's a very young, interesting prospect. I don't think he's anywhere close to maybe contention at 155 anytime soon, but I think he looked good in this fight. He made the adjustments in the second round, clipped him up badly, and finds the anaconda choke to get it done. Gets a statement win in this fight. Daniel Zellhuber, can't wait to see who he fights next. Moving up on the card, the featured fight on the main card, Raul Rosas Jr. versus Terrence Mitchell. This fight ended in the first round. Raul Rosas Jr. gets it done via TKO. Absolute destruction from Raul Rosas Jr., but that's exactly what this fight was supposed to be. The UFC set it up this way for Raul Rosas Jr. just to absolutely dominate. And both guys came out swinging like crazy. Terrence Mitchell was like throwing from a mile away, not really landing a whole lot. Raul was landing more. Lands a left hand, basically sleeps Terrence Mitchell at that point. He goes back on the canvas. Got hurt badly. Looked like he was out, but he wakes back up as he hits the canvas. Raul Rosas Jr. starts swarming him with the grappling, gets on top of him, gets him mount, starts pounding him out, gets the back, flattens him out, and just starts destroying Terrence Mitchell and gets the first round TKO early in the first round. Flawless performance by Raul Rosas Jr. at 18 years old. But let's be honest, that's what this fight was. It was a setup fight for Raul Rosas Jr. to get back on track after that loss to Christian Rodriguez. And honestly, this fight was... there was high tension going into this fight because if Terrence Mitchell beat Raul Rosas Jr., Raul Rosas Jr.'s career was over before it even started. So he had to get this win. And honestly, anything less than a finish, I think would have been underperforming for Raul Rosas Jr. He went out there, he starched Terrence Mitchell, who really doesn't belong in the UFC. Came in on short notice in his last fight against Cameron Saman, then gets Raul Rosas Jr. in his next fight. UFC is not doing Terrence Mitchell any favors, and now he's probably not going to fight in the UFC again. But Raul Rosas Jr. looks incredible, does exactly what he's supposed to do in this fight, and absolutely dominates. Moving up on the card to the co-main event, we have Kevin Holland versus Jack Della Maddalena. Close fight. Jack Della Maddalena wins via split decision. I had it scored for Jack Della Maddalena. I had round 1 and 3 for Jack Della Maddalena. I just thought he landed the better shots. He was rushing forward early. He was landing really good calf kicks. He kind of got away from that later on. You had Kevin Holland kind of turning his back and eating combinations. Kevin Holland looked decent defensively. Didn't need a whole lot of big shots, but there was just a few flurries in that first and third round where it was like, okay, Jack Della Maddalena definitely stole the round. Like in the first round, it was clear Jack Della Maddalena was a little out ahead for the majority of that round. But then in the third round, it just seemed like JDM was just more urgent in that third round, was landing good shots, was kind of walking him down a little bit. Wasn't rocking him badly by any means. It wasn't like catching him with a big shot to the chin and rocking him. But he was just landing the better shots. He was mixing it up to the body, ripping hooks to the body. The second round, I thought Kevin Holland won. I just thought he was more active, had more volume, landing some good jabs, coming around the guard with a couple hooks, landing on Jack Della Maddalena. A lot of teep kicks. But Kevin Holland was like, just kind of backing up the majority of the fight. When he did come forward, he would land, but it just seemed like he was trying to avoid taking any damage. He did have his defenses. He had his right hand glued to his chin. He was doing very good of avoiding that left hook of Jack Della Maddalena. But overall, it just seemed like Kevin Holland was just showing up for a check. The crowd was booing. I know a lot of people thought this fight was good. I honestly thought it was underwhelming, to be completely honest. Felt like a sparring match. Felt like neither guy was particularly trying, especially Kevin Holland. He was turning his back and running away with the back of his head facing JDM. Literally was almost pulling a Chelsea Chandler in this fight. I know there were some people that thought Kevin Holland might have won. There's an argument maybe to be made for 2 and 3 for Holland. I just thought JDM, especially in the last minute of the third round, was just more urgent, throwing bigger shots, landing with more power. And I thought the first round was pretty clear for JDM. Second round, I think Kevin Holland clearly won the second round. But overall, I had a 29-28 for Jack Della Maddalena. and I thought he clearly won the fight. I do think there is a debate to be had, but I think Della Maddalena got it done. And I thought he lost to Hafez in his last fight. So 2 split decision wins in a row for Della Maddalena. Moving up on the card, the main event, Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko 2. I did a full main event breakdown. I'll link that down in the description if you want to go check it out after this, where I break down the fight for 20 minutes. So I'm not going to go as long on the main event here, but I thought Valentina Shevchenko should have won this fight. Round 1. Clearly Valentina Shevchenko's round. Outstruck her in that fight. Outstruck her in the first round, landing good shots, got an easy takedown, mounted her, took her back. The only reason Grasso got up was because Shevchenko was too aggressive. Second round, Shevchenko was winning but got dropped, so Grasso clearly won. The second round was a right hand that dropped her. She got back to her feet immediately, clinched strikes from Alexa Grasso. Won her the second round as well. She was lighting her up in the clinch. After that, though, it was like Valentina Shevchenko was winning there. In the second round, got a takedown, and then controlled her for a little bit, got back to her feet, was standing up. You had the up kick from Alexa Grasso, but no matter what, it doesn't matter. Alexa Grasso won with that right hand where she just dropped her badly, and then the clinch strikes. Clearly won the second round. Third round, clearly Valentina Shevchenko's round, was outstriking her, landing the left hand, landing the jab, landing good leg kicks as well. Took her down at one point, got side control. You had Grasso try to get up, almost get guillotined, ended up mounted with a guillotine from Shevchenko. I thought she might finish it. Grasso works out of it, but gives up her back. Body triangle. Shevchenko controls her for the rest of the round. Last second, it seems like Grasso's about to get out. Shevchenko had an armbar waiting for her as she got out. So had that round continued, maybe Valentina gets an armbar. It's not, it ended too early to be able to really tell. But clearly third round for Valentina Shevchenko. Fourth round is more controversial than people make it out to be, because the fourth round was actually close. Valentina Shevchenko won, I would say, 75 to 80% of the fourth round. You had a moment where Valentina shot in on a takedown, Grasso sprawled the takedown, and Valentina has her hand on the ground. And Grasso throws like 5 or 6 knees to the head of Valentina Shevchenko. Some of them, the hand came up. Some of them, the hand was still down. I thought at least half of them were illegal. One of them was clearly to the back of the head, maybe even 2 of them. I went back and rewatched the sequence. The commentary was off on saying it was legal. According to the Nevada State Athletic Commission's website, if anything more than your soles of your feet are on the ground, you are a downed opponent. You cannot kick or knee a downed opponent, according to the Nevada State Athletic Commission rules on their website. John Anik seems to believe otherwise. Dominic Cruz seems to believe otherwise. A couple of those knees were illegal. Now, after those knees, she got her down. She started looking for an armbar, got shook off. Valentina ended up on top. Grasso got back up, but there wasn't really a whole lot done. It seemed like Valentina just kind of went back to kind of outstriking her a little bit, but not a whole lot. It was super uneventful. Round 4, I think, came down to the knees. Live, I scored it with Grasso with the knees, but if you discount those knees, I think Shevchenko clearly won the fourth round. Now, even with the knees, I think it's debatable in the fourth round. Fifth round, Valentina Shevchenko clearly outstriking her. Last minute and a half, like minute and 20 seconds left, Valentina Shevchenko looks for a head and arm throw, ends up giving up her back. Grasso starts throwing nasty ground and pound, but Valentina Shevchenko blocks the majority of it. I think 3 or 4 of those shots actually got through. Most of them landed on the gloves and forearms of Valentina Shevchenko, but the body language did not look good. Then she kind of ends up in a better position. Instead of being on all fours, she kind of turns over and ends up on top while giving up her back. And then Grasso just looks for the rear naked choke at the end of the fight. I thought round 5 was clearly Valentina Shevchenko's. I thought she took round 5 pretty clearly 10-9. So I had it 1, 3, and 5 for Valentina Shevchenko. I had 2 and 4 for Alexa Grasso. It ends up being a split draw, which means none of the judges, came together on a decision. You had one judge 48-47 for Valentina, one judge 48-47 for Grasso, and then one judge 47-47. Mike Bell, the judge that gave it 47-47, scored round 5 a 10-8 for Alexa Grasso. I don't know what he was watching. Absolutely delusional. Bare minimum 10-9 for Grasso, but I still think it was a 10-9 for Valentina Shevchenko. And then 2 judges had round 4 for Valentina Shevchenko, which I think is somewhat defensible. But I'll just say this. I think Valentina Shevchenko is the better fighter. I think she should have won this fight. It ends up being a draw, which, you have a rematch that's now a draw. It's just inconclusive. I think you have to run it back. You have to have the trilogy. I don't know if the UFC is going to want to do that. But I think Valentina Shevchenko is the better fighter. You know, there's an argument to be made 4-1 for Valentina Shevchenko. 1, 3, 4, and 5. You could reasonably give to Valentina Shevchenko. The judges got it wrong here. I don't know how Mike Bell gave round 5 10-8. Without that 10-8, if it's just a simple 10-9 for Grasso, it would have went split decision to Valentina Shevchenko. She is the new UFC flyweight champion. But now we're probably going to have a trilogy. I don't know. Grasso looked improved, but I still don't think I think she's a little bit overhyped. The boxing is really good. She has significant power for the division, but I don't think she's all, people overhype her a bit. The UFC overhypes her a bit because they want to, they're trying to break into that, Mexican demographic, and they're trying to really promote that hard. I think Valentina Shevchenko took her lightly in the first fight, and I think this fight she came out, looked really good. Good, solid body kicks. And honestly, I think the biggest mistake was Valentina Shevchenko ever trying to grapple. Without the grappling, I think she can out-kickbox her to a decision. I think she can literally out-kickbox her to a decision. 4th round, she never shoots on the takedown. She never eats those knees. She clearly wins the 4th round. 5th round, she never looks for that head and arm throw. She never ends up giving up her back. She clearly wins the 5th round. So without 2 takedown attempts, you subtract 2 takedown attempts from the fight for Shevchenko, she clearly wins 4-1 with her kickboxing. So unfortunate for Shevchenko. She better hope they give her a trilogy. She's 35 years old, going on 36. But Alexa Grasso retains the UFC flyweight title based on a split draw. Let me know what you guys think of that decision down in the comments. I'm genuinely curious who you scored it for. But I think Valentina Shevchenko should have won it. I think Valentina Shevchenko won this fight, and I think she's the better fighter, to be quite honest. I think she is the better fighter. I think she proves she's the better fighter. And this is what really grinds my gears, is when you have an outcome where you don't feel like the fighter who is the better fighter gets their hand raised. And I know technically they both got their hand raised, but Grasso still holds on to the belt. And I don't even think she thinks of this as a loss at all because she holds on to the belt. But the real winner here is the UFC. They don't have to pay anybody a win bonus, would be my guess. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And thank you so much for watching.